All right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and it's funny, as humble and as small as this channel is at this current moment in time, right? I'm getting more and more people reach out to me and say they want me to shill you guys a exchange referral link, and they want to offer things like no KYC exchanges, and they want you to put your hard-earned Bitcoin and have me encourage you to go and lever that up 100 times. And I can see now why so many of these crypto YouTubers and influencers are begging you, imploring you, right, to use their referral link and sign up and get free Bitcoin when you deposit your Bitcoin on these exchanges. And it's not tempting for me, right? It's not tempting for me at all. But I can kind of see now why this is such a massive business, because if you're not actually a trader, right, if you can't actually make any money in markets and you've got a very smallish YouTube channel, which also won't be making any significant money, then suddenly someone comes along and says, hey, like, do you want to collab and we'll hook our exchange up and we'll pay you all this money and you can refer. And every time somebody clicks your referral link, like, you'll get a kickback as well. I can see why these people are so willing to do these shady deals, right? But remember, it's super unethical for me to sit here and say, oh, by the way, guys, I know I'm a trader and it's really easy. So click this link, deposit your Bitcoin and lever it up 100 times and you too can make money in the markets. Like, I mean, come on. Anyway, I just thought it was pretty funny because in the last couple of weeks, I've had quite a significant number of people reach out to me and say that they want me to shield their exchanges. And yeah, not going to happen. All right. Not gonna happen. So if you're one of those exchange people, no, this is not the place. I'm not about it. And let's get into today's episode. So unrealized gains, losses on investment securities for banks as of 2023. Look at the state of this, okay? So this is just your friendly reminder that the US banking system is absolutely wrecked. And higher for longer, of course, destroys the small banks. So can the Fed contain this discount window and the banking term funding program? What happens in 5 months, around March, when the banking term funding program ends? And the question is, that is the $1 million question, really, isn't it? Because either the debt is going to get rolled over or the banks are going to blow up. Remember, no matter how you frame it, no matter how you look at it, fiat debasement is mathematically guaranteed, and therefore you're probably going to want an exit. I also found this, I thought this was pretty interesting, right? Economists have something called this fiscal gap, and that's the amount you would have to raise taxes today to maintain the generosity that you promised in the future to your senior citizens. So in the United States, it's 7.7% of GDP. What exactly does this mean? That means if you wanted to fix the situation today without touching the entitlements like the pension, the healthcare, so on and so forth, social security, you'd have to raise taxes by 40% tomorrow morning and keep them there forever, or cut spending tomorrow morning by 35% and keep that there forever. Although, of course, in the real world, it's much worse than that, because that would cause the economy to go down and then tax revenues would go down. So what's astonishing is the US's fiscal gap is 7.7%, whereas in France, the poster child for social welfare, they only have a 2.4% gap. So it's less than a third of the Americans, and at least the French are addressing their issue, right? So it goes to show that the reason I wanted to bring this up, right, the reason I show this today, is this goes to show just how bad this situation is. There is no way they can raise 40% taxes, right? There's no way they can do that. There's also no way they can cut the spending by 35%. So that also means there's no possible way that they're going to be able to pay the promised future seniors the stuff like their pension, social security, healthcare, etc., right? There's just no possible way. So when I say fiat debasement is mathematically guaranteed, when I say that something is going to break at some point in the future, you can see that right here, all right? You're going to want an exit. You're going to want insurance against this fiat Ponzi. And one of the best ways that I know to do that is, of course, Bitcoin. A lot of people think Ethereum might be the way to go, but Ethereum is pretty interesting to me, okay? Ethereum for some time now, and I've been pointing to this on and off, just seems to slowly but surely be getting worse and worse and worse. For Ethereum, the writing has been on the wall for some time, and I think assuming this token actually goes to zero or at least significantly underperforms Bitcoin, I think we're going to be able to look back at this in hindsight and say, yeah, it was pretty obvious, right? There's been the whole merge to proof of stake. There's been the whole OFAC compliant blocks and censorship, and even things like this, right? Ethereum futures launched on the stock market, and it had on its first day just 0.2% of the trading volume compared to Bitcoin futures when it launched day one of trading. So 1.9 million of ETH futures were traded versus a billion for Bitcoin on its first futures day. So there's really no institutional demand for Ethereum. And again, the writing has been on the wall for a while. Every time I mention Ethereum, and it's not because I'm biased, I just point at data. This is just data, right? It doesn't matter what my opinion is. It doesn't matter what I think of Ethereum. What matters is the data, and the data just shows that, again, this is not a positive sign for Ethereum, is it? It's really difficult for me to point at anything Ethereum related and say, oh yeah, that looks positive, right? I haven't done that in ages, and it's really difficult. Like, I don't even hold Ethereum, so I don't have a dog in this race at all. But like I say, the more I point at things like this, the more it just becomes harder and harder for me to see this coin being part of the future. In other news, Coinbase has been approved to offer Bitcoin buy and sell services to institutions in Singapore. So again, we continue to see adoption, and we love to see that here. Of course, we are entering October being a very, very bullish seasonal month for Bitcoin. Historically, Q4 is very, very bullish for Bitcoin. So I expect to see good things into the end of the year. Bob Lucas, the king of cycles, is not at all as bullish as I am, right? And this is pretty interesting. So he is thinking that we're either going to do something like this, base building, right, into that weekly cycle low and then go. Or perhaps he's thinking that in the worst case scenario, we could see something like this, right, into the weekly cycle low and go. Whereas I personally think what's coming is this into the weekly cycle low and go. So oftentimes me and Bob here are in alignment. Oftentimes we agree on things and sometimes we don't. This is currently one of those situations where we don't. So like I said, Bob thinks we're going to base here, weekly cycle low and go, or potentially even move down and go. I honestly think, like I said, we're going to go up and then do something like this. So time will tell as always. Maybe I'm too bullish, but I think we need to find a daily cycle low over the next 2 weeks, and then I think we will be able to come out of here swinging. And lastly, before we jump into the charts, I don't have much to say when we get to the charts, and you'll see that in a minute, but I found this, and every now and again I like to bring this up. I am a champion of this idea, okay? So bits versus sats. Now, you don't order a coffee for 500 cents, do you? You pay $5 for it. And pricing in Satoshis is a bit like pricing in cents, which is so stupid. Using bits is not stupid because it's the same structure that everyone uses everywhere else. And so if you think about it, there's 100 million sats in a Bitcoin, right? And therefore there's a million bits in a Bitcoin if one bit is equal to 100 sats. So the sats would be the cent, the bit would be your dollar, and a million bits would give you your Bitcoin. Makes perfect sense, right? Makes it a lot easier to price things that way versus trying to work out a 100 million division. So again, occasionally I bring this up, occasionally I point at this and say, I think this is a good idea. And this is something I would love to see. I would love to see us move from sats to bits and we start pricing things in bits. And of course, one bit would be equal to 100 sats. So again, it would be like your cents, your dollar, and then $1 million for a Bitcoin. Sounds quite nice to me, I think. So moving into the charts, again, I don't have a great deal to say, okay? There's not a great deal of change going on. As you can see, dollar still hanging around in this neighborhood, yet to break down. Patience still seems to be the order of the day for Bitcoin, right? Was this a sweep of the highs and a rejection at the upward sloping red resistance line? Was support, now resistance? Is this just breakdown, retest, looking for resumption lower? I still think it's prudent, and my personal strategy is to wait for this cycle low to show up and look to get long out of here, even if the cycle low ends up forming higher up. Crypto-related equities, look, no breakout, right? Not on a daily closing basis for Coinbase. Same is true of MicroStrategy, not quite breaking out on a daily closing basis. That could change today. Riot, again, rejection at these critical levels, and Marathon as well, still no sign of a breakout of the downward sloping red resistance line. So as you can see, right, patience still seems to be the order of the day. And hopping into the stock market, this seems pretty much like perhaps this red squiggle is not going to be far from reality. Same is true of the NASDAQ, right? Same is true of the Dow. All of these squiggles seem like they're more or less holding up. I took my UKX position off yesterday into the close UK time since we closed the daily candle back below the breakout level. So no longer interested in this trade personally. And we are still pushing the oil trade, right? Look at this. So back into profit now. Didn't quite get stopped out. Happy days. So we'll keep pushing this trade and see what we can get. Other than that, I really don't have anything to report. As I've been saying over and over again, looking for that daily cycle low. But we are about, from today's session, what's this, nine trading sessions. So, 2 weeks time and we're going to be able to go long. I also think the same is true of Bitcoin, as I've been saying over and over again, something like 16 trading sessions and we'll be able to go long. But until then, patience, patience, patience. That is my strategy and I'm sticking to it. So that's it from me. I hope you found value here today and I hope you're doing well in life. In the meantime, take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.